Hey Jake, welcome to the show. It's really nice to have you here.
Thank
How
you.
are you? All
Great.
right, all
Thank you
right.
for having me.
Awesome, awesome. We've been raring to ask, and I think the first question that we would want to ask you right now is, tell us about your experience from the way you moved from Israel going to the US and how that basically developed your entrepreneurial spirit.
That's a good question. So 2 days after I landed this country, I started working. Started as a labor guy, working myself up as a supervisor, then a sales manager, then became a CEO of a company, and end up opening my own company. And I think um, wearing all those hats, you know, there's something that I had to do in order to figure out all the rules in the company and build the system to make that company successful. Does that make sense?
It does, it does. And you mentioned earlier that you actually started from the roots, actually doing the job, hard labor jobs, just to really get you, uh, you know, by and
Correct.
then start your journey,
Correct.
right?
Exactly. So, when especially, I would say, I came from Israel. And, I think every foreigner that come to a new country, he knows there is no safety net. You know,
Right.
he has to make it by himself or else, right? So, and I think being Israeli is known by people that thinking outside of the box and being very creative. And I think that's also, helped me when it came to like handling problems and, starting the business.
For sure, for sure. And basically, if you're really gonna look into it, having getting all these history about immigrants going into the U.S. and normally, if you look at statistics, there's a very high chance that the immigrants are actually becoming more successful in the U.S. And there's something about culture and something about the experience, about life, about the family bond and all those stuff that really makes them a little bit more successful than the average American who grew up in the US, right? So if you could probably tell us a little bit more in terms of what that culture is all about when you were in Israel and how did it help you in terms of your ability to build businesses and influence your leadership that resulted to your success.
Okay. I think as I mentioned before, when you come to a new country, you are by your own. And you have to make it or break it. So, while language is not going to be your first language, after you get, the language and, there's English and there's American, and here people do things differently, you know, personally and business, so once I think you get that down packed, and you get the hang of it, I think, you'll be good. Lastly, I would say, when you come to a new country, it takes time to make connections,
Mhm.
networking, etc. So, I start with my own network, with Israelis, and then expand to Americans. And I think that helped me to get more connection, expand my network, and bring more business. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. Tell
Yeah.
us what was the first job that you had when the moment you land in America, the land of opportunities, tell us the story.
So,
What is that all about?
so you know what? I would tell my first gig, I would say as an entrepreneur, okay? So, of being an owner operator for a moving company. So I had my hands on everything. It's the first time, I was in charge on everything, on the trucks, on the insurance, on the quality, on the people, everything. And in the beginning, everything was really like smooth sailing, I have to say. Um, but then I want to expand a little bit more, okay, and get more jobs, and I had to get more people, but my hiring skills wasn't that good, and I end up hiring the wrong people that led me to damages, to customer complaints, all the other things and the fun things regarding that, and in the end, I had to shut down. But I have to tell you, I learned a lot from that experience. A lot, a lot.
That's a very expensive tuition fee for
Yes, exactly.
entrepreneurship, right? See, you mentioned something about safety net. I think this is key. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that that safety net alone, removing that from a person, basically makes that person do whatever it takes to succeed.
Yeah, I think that, in the first 6 months that I was working here, I didn't even take one day off. I didn't
Wow.
let myself take one day off. No Saturday, no Sundays. I had to build myself, and I think it's with everyone. In the beginning, especially in business, right? You open a business right now, it doesn't matter if it's your first business, second business, or 10 business, right? The first year or two, you have to be hands on, and if you're not going to be
Right.
hands on, to build those foundations, the business is just not going to succeed.
That makes a lot of sense. And I'm pretty sure you've carried some boxes as well when you have those that moving company when you
Many of
started.
them, many of
Ah,
them. Yes, I did
awesome.
everything.
Which basically, you know what, this is a very, very good opportunity for me to really kind of segue to that entrepreneurial spirit. Because obviously, when you landed in the US, you dive right on and, tackle the world of entrepreneurship. And definitely, that's very, very difficult. Um, but what's the inspiration behind it? Like, why in the US and why not in Israel or maybe somewhere else?
Listen, it's the land of opportunities, right? You can do everything in America. And I believe, you know, everybody can succeed here if he wants. Okay. It's not like I couldn't succeed in Israel. I think it's a little bit hard in Israel to succeed. It's a small country, 8, 9 million people. Bureaucracy is crazy, taxes are crazy. And here in America, I think it's land of opportunities. And if you work hard and if you work smart, um, there's dough for everybody. Okay. you know so every time, I used to work in Queens and I used to live in the city, in New York City, and every time I used to go with my car on the Queensboro Bridge, I used to see the city. Okay, and I used to say, hey, to myself, in this city every day there are billions of dollars, okay, going on and trading on. I just want a small piece of it. Okay, I just need a small piece of it and I'll be okay. And that's exactly what happened.
Awesome, awesome. How did you decide which industry to really get in?
So it's a very good question. So, I start with moving because that's something that I knew.
Mhm.
But then when I expanded to other ventures, okay, I usually had two rules for that. One, that business have to complement the other business. Okay. I need to help the other business. So if those businesses, can share together something and give services to the other business, you know, um, that will be, basically an advantage. The second thing is I always look for business that can manage themselves. After I basically put all the resources, the right person and everything else. So those are the two things that are always looking when I want to look for a new business.
So you're saying basically you're looking for a business that complements itself, giving opportunities to other businesses, and then at the same time, that business has to be something that should operate itself, right?
Exactly. I want to say also, the first one was I was looking for a business that complement my businesses, okay? That can
Aha.
help my businesses, okay? So that for me was very important, you know?
This is yeah, yeah, this is brilliant. This is the way you actually build an empire. That makes a lot of sense. And is this one of the reasons why you've decided to kind of like get into outsourcing and outsource some of those work to the Philippines and somewhere else and Costa Rica and all those countries?
Yes, because I was looking for something, that first I can, will save me money. Okay, especially in labor. Labor, as you know, very expensive in the state. In the Philippines, you know, as you know, is quite, is quite cheap. When you compare it to the state. So, and those money that we save, we basically, can invest in all our ventures. Okay. The other thing, and I think that's the most important thing, especially if you have a business that you want to expand, is scalability. So if you, that I think the most important thing, because you can actually, with outsourcing, okay, you can expand. You need 20 people now, okay, and you need 100 people now for the next 3 months, and then business slow down a little bit and you need to take down a notch. You can do it. So it's basically like tuning the volume on your playlist, and you can do it without hiring or firing anybody. So I think that was a brilliant idea, especially when it comes to outsourcing, and I would recommend to everybody that really want to expand their business.
This is quite awesome, Jake, because you mentioned about the opportunity for you to kind of like scale your business at a minimal cost, and you don't
Mhm.
really have to have the headache of doing the hiring and all those stuff. So you're basically technically saying that, for the price of hiring a person, you're technically hiring a company to do everything else for you. That basically removes the headache. What I'm getting from your point in here is that if you do outsource these non-core tasks, then you as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you're able to focus on the things that really matters to your business and be able to
Exactly.
deliver, right?
Exactly.
Can you give us a
So,
little bit more about the experience?
so
Yeah.
yes. So, what's good is, we have our management team, okay? And there are some tasks, that, you need to do on a day-to-day basis. It's not sometimes it's not something that is, I would say, complicated, okay? But it's something that you need to do. If you know how to outsource it, okay, you're gonna have a lot more time for your team to work on the things that actually they do good, and that speed up your operations crazy in crazy
Yeah.
ways, really.
There are some say mom and pop and shops out there, probably the small entrepreneurs that are startups, who they have no idea in terms of what outsourcing is all about, and probably they've heard about it in the grapevine and say, okay, most of the biggest companies, the Amazons of the world, the Microsoft, the Facebook, they're all outsourced somewhere around the world to be successful, right? If I'm a small entrepreneur right now and I would like to outsource these work so that I can scale up my business, what advice would you give this entrepreneurs in terms of how to start? Where do I start? How would I do
Okay,
it?
okay, great. I think first thing, do your homework. Okay, there's a lot of outsourcing companies there, and sometimes, and I see it all the time, people try to do it by their own. Okay, they said, you know what, I'm going to go online, I'm going to find somebody, I'm going to give them the training, the whole thing, and everything will be good. And then they get burned and they don't try it again. And I get so many people tell me that. Okay. So, when I try to do that, I partner with local companies in the Philippines. Okay. That, they do outsourcing, and that's what they do for a living. Okay. Second, we are very big when it comes to recruitment. Okay. So, we took all those people and we really asked them the right questions, and we want to build a role, that's something that they can do. And, basically want to get that superstar from that pool of people. And then, after you get people, after you get the people, you need to make sure that you create for them, the actual materials and the training. Because if you're not going to do that, you're going to fail. And I think the last thing I would say, and it's also something really important, is retention. Make sure to make them happy. Okay. make sure them excited. Okay, get to know their culture a little bit, and especially Filipinos, they're all about family, they're all about culture, they're all about bonding, and if you know how to put that together, I think you'll be very successful.
This is fantastic. So you mentioned about the Filipino culture in terms of how do you bridge that gap accordingly. So you probably have your reasons, right? But what is that main reason? Why the Philippines? Why not outsource to India? Maybe somewhere else in Southeast Asia. You could probably have it in lesser the cost of what you're paying
You're
in the
right.
Philippines. But
You're right.
why the Philippines though?
You're right. You can do less of the cost, but um, there's a couple of reasons. One is the English level. Okay, even though Indians have the English level, they have there are some places in India that the English is not that good. Also, when it comes to when it comes to outsourcing, and you're talking about the whole world, I think in the Philippines, the Filipinos, because I would say English is like their second language. Okay, their their pronunciation of English is a lot better than all the other countries that do outsourcing. Now, what we did is also, we took a team that we like to work with, okay, and we basically built vocabulary of word, okay, that everybody will use, okay, in that company, okay. So we made sure that everybody say the same, okay, and we have people help us doing that, and I think that was very important. And I think one more important thing that I found in the Philippines after I visited there a couple of times, um, they are very, I would say, um, they're like workaholic, okay? And they want to make sure that you're happy. They're all into customer service. They are very polite, and it's not something that they have to fake it. It's just them, right? And that was easy when we want to start up like Allure, and we had to have people that had like a customer service background or IT or stuff like that. That was very easy for us to outsource.
That's great. That's great. Obviously, it's not all going to be like all successes. I'm sure
No,
you
it's
had some
not.
stories in terms of difficulty. Tell us a little bit more about what are those challenges that if I'm, say for example, I'm a small business and I go to you for advice, say, Jake, what I should be worried about if I'm gonna go ahead and outsource in the Philippines, what should I be looking for?
So listen, every entrepreneur always looking to save things, right? To
Mm-hmm.
save money, and to have less headache. And when people, and I would, let's talk about even startups, right? In the beginning, you do a lot of mistakes, right? In terms of branding, in terms of marketing, the budget, quality control, all the fun stuff. And then you have other things that you don't even think about, right? You can have the weather, you can have market craziness, trends, you can lose a key partner, in your team, and then you by yourself, and you need to do everything from the beginning. So that's all happening in business. Small business, big businesses. In small business, it's more crucial. So because when you lose a key person, you need to do his work.
Right.
And I think that building something, outsourcing, and building a team that sometimes costs you, a fraction of what you paying one person, okay, will help you to scale your company, make sure they're more solid, okay, and have everyone learning one thing, okay, that even if somebody today, okay, had to go and you're losing somebody, you just lost, you just lost only, I would say, you know, uh, one share of it. And Because of that, you're not going to fall, and you're not going to have to do things by yourself. Because usually key people, when they cost you a lot of money, you have to teach them everything, and they're usually in charge of a lot of things. If one person like that go, that's really a slap in the face to the company. You get
That's
it?
gonna be very, yeah, I totally
Mhm.
understand. And I think that's very, very difficult because, if a small company, let's say I have a small company and I decide to go ahead and outsource in the Philippines and I
Mhm.
put everything under one person, then that's a risk, obviously, right? So
Correct.
what I'm hearing from you in here is that, okay, I might actually be outsourcing the work that's equivalent to one person doing a lot of work here, but my safety net really in here is not on the person, but on the company that I've outsourced it to. Number one, when something wrong happens, the manager, the supervisor, the HR, the admin can come in. They could probably replace the person if that's the wrong hire. So you're technically, paying an entire company to do the work for a cost of a fraction of a labor, right? So
Exactly.
yeah, and I want to talk about cost here because I think this is where every entrepreneur would really want to get into. All right, what's the pricing? What's the cost typically looks like for, say, I want to hire a virtual assistant for my company. How does that cost me, or what does that cost me in the Philippines?
So, it depends what kind of person you want, and there's a couple of levels. It can start from 13, $1,400, to go to 2,000, 2,500. But I know some companies that will provide you somebody for $800 or $900. The problem
Wow.
is, the problem is with those $800, $900 companies, that they will take almost anyone, okay, and then they will rely on you to do the recruiting and the training and the learning and everything else. And in the end of the day, what happened is you spending a lot of time, okay, to train somebody that you don't know if it's going to be the right fit for you, right?
Right.
So, and listen, there is no guarantee on anybody. Even if you get somebody from companies that are charging $15 or $2,000 for a person, and it's still, listen, if you have a if you have an amazing virtual assistant in New York, the average, I would say the average salary would be around $70,000. $70,000.
Wow.
Here, even if you take the high end of it, you're talking about 25, 26, $27,000.
That's a lot
That's
of
crazy,
savings.
right? You can have three or four of them, Think about what kind of business, you know, and how many things you can do with three of them. Or if you have one of them, what you can do with that $50,000, right? The extra one that you're saving here.
I
So
hear
I
you. I
think
hear
that's
you.
huge,
Yeah.
right? And if you have a company that have 10, 20, or 30 people, just do the math yourself. That's crazy saving. But like I said, you need to do your homework. You need to
Understood.
make sure, yes, you need to
For
make
sure.
sure that, you do your homework and get the right company that not also can recruit the right people, okay? But also, that can help you manage them, or building building the actual system that if somebody in 3, 4, 5, 6 months, or even a year wants to leave, you can replace them
Hmm.
right away.
Right.
And
Right.
and you and usually that's, I think, what small business are lacking. They know the work, but they don't have the system. And if you don't have the system, and you don't have the training materials, and you don't have that, you can teach somebody everything, and he can work for you for a year or 2 or 3, and then he can leave. And then the next person that's going to come, it's going to take you another 2 or 3 years to teach him, because you didn't write the training. You don't know what to teach him and what not to teach him in the beginning, right? Does
Yeah,
that
yeah.
make sense?
While you're talking about this,
Yeah.
I was just imagining. Think about it. So you said that the cost of a typical virtual assistant in New York is gonna be around $70,000 a year, and if you're gonna outsource it on the higher end, you're probably it's gonna cost you probably 24 grand a year, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I could just imagine what I can do if I'm an entrepreneur on that spare $50,000 to use for marketing, probably for sales, for something else. I mean, the opportunity is endless. You're talking about not only saving three times the cost, but basically you're actually using that money to become a multiplier for your business. So that basically one hire could result to a 10x in terms of your business return. So that's going to be very, very important. And then one thing that you've also did mention in here is that with all the systems and processes that are needed by small businesses, and I think this is where the outsourcing or the BPO companies come in, because they would
Mhm.
technically have multiple accounts in their bags, and they have learned from the experiences of those different industries and those different people, and they could probably come up with a process for you that would be more efficient. So what I'm basically telling here is that at a price, at a fraction of the cost of a typical virtual assistant hire, you're not only giving an opportunity for your marketing and sales to pick up, but also paying for system and processes that have been vetted by other people and
Yeah,
other companies. This is
exactly,
powerful.
exactly,
This is powerful.
exactly. And
I don't know why people are not doing this very, very,
listen,
a lot
and
more.
think about it, um, with it's 2010, it's 2023, right? If you have your own business right now, okay, and you are putting an ad in the paper or whatever, or in a website, right, and you can get some local people, to come and you interview them, you can choose from a pool of people, but a very narrow one. If you go in outsourcing, you can tap into talents from every place in the world, okay? That's crazy, right? It's something that people don't think about, okay? It's something that people need to think about when it's coming to outsourcing, okay? We have some people in Costa Rica that our team are doing marketing, all right? So everybody, every country, sometimes they have their things that they're specialized in, you know and if you don't, if you're not limited only to the pool of people that you have in your own community, right? You can save money and also get very good people in fraction of the price.
If I'm a business owner right now, say I happen to pass by with you and have a coffee in New York right now and say, Jake, I got a business. I'm doing everything in house. I have not outsourced it. What would you tell me?
Okay, first I will ask you a couple of questions. Okay, I will ask you, what are the roles in your company first? Okay, what things you can do virtually and what's not. Okay, um you know there's some paperwork that, there's some things that you don't need to be involved every time, right? And there's some things that you can outsource and something you cannot outsource, okay?
Right.
But that's why good outsourcing company will tell you what you can outsource and what you cannot, and also set the expectation, right? If you're bringing somebody, it will take them a month or two or three to learn the business, right? you know if you need three or four or five people, you might need maybe a manager with them, right?
Right.
Because if not, you're gonna need to take care of all training. So maybe in the beginning, you're gonna have to help with training, but you're gonna have somebody with you that's gonna write the training, and then from them, you don't have to be there, right? And you can do other things. So it's a little bit complicated, but if you know how to write, if you know what you're doing and you know how to ask the right question, okay, you're gonna know what things you can outsource and what things you cannot outsource. That makes sense?
This is all. It does, and it kind of gives me an idea in terms of what Tim Ferriss has been talking about, right? If you've read the book, Tim Ferriss, The 4 Hour Work Week,
Yes.
right? What he was actually basically talking about is exactly what you're saying in here.
Hmm.
The power of the leverage, the power of that opportunity, and it's just he basically said it's almost stupid if you're not gonna outsource and use that opportunity to really expand and build your business. And I think the most important thing here that I see is more than the money, more than the cost savings, more than the 10x. What really matters in here is that you're opening up your time to do what
Yep.
matters for you as an entrepreneur.
Yep.
Time is invaluable, right? And I think that's what outsourcing does. It gives you back your time, gives you back your freedom to do what you do best.
I cannot tell you. How do I imagine my life? And I see my life, before outsource and after outsource. Okay.
Mhm.
I used to have 400 emails. Okay. And I used to work 20 hours a day just to read those emails, and see what I'm doing, and how to reply them and do other things that I need to do in the business, and now I have somebody that read my emails, right? Summarize it in the morning. When I wake up, the first hour of the day, hour and a half, I sip my coffee. There's no phone calls. I go all through the emails and see exactly what I need to do, but I'm focused on the things that I need to do. That saved me so much time to do what I like to do, and spend time with my family. Me time, that's non-negotiable right now, but I couldn't do it without outsourcing, really. I couldn't do it.
This is great. This is great. So to all the viewers out there, if you're a business owner and if you haven't outsourced yet, you better do it now. It's very, very important. So, Jake, I'd like to talk about more of like your vision, your projects right now. You're working on a company called Allure at this point, and you have a vision of really bringing that medical tourism available to the typical Joe in the US, and give them back their panache, their confidence, their ability to really go out there and say, hey, look at me, this is me, right? Tell us a little
So
bit more about this
yeah,
venture.
you bet. So Alu came because like Fox wanted like medical cosmetic treatment that didn't break the bank. You know, um, and we basically partner with clinics all over the world. You know, in Turkey, in Greece, in Mexico, and what we did, we got top-notch quality. Okay, and having also they're having good time doing it. Okay, because we got them as a package. We get them the hotel, with the transportation, the whole experience. They're having good time, during the process, and we're here to make it happen. And I think medical tourism is something that, if you look at the statistic, even Google it, it's rapidly growing up 15-20% every year. Um, and we took procedures like, for example, hair transplant, that in the States you pay 15, $18,000. You can get it in Turkey or in Mexico for $3 or $4,000, with even, you know, with the same quality, or even, or I would say in most of the cases, the quality is going to be better than the States even. So, you know, and you basically get the experience of going and traveling to another country. So it's like a win-win situation. So I'm happy, I'm going to sleep every night with a smile on my face. So I'm helping people looking, better and happier.
How does it make you feel? Like you feel happy whenever you sleep at night and saying, okay, yesterday I have 5, 10 people who actually went through the operations, and give them back their confidence. What does it do for you as an entrepreneur? Is there a level of satisfaction that you're getting out of this?
Of course, there's something that's, that's not, it's not money, right? You can't count them. So, when somebody, and we have like a WhatsApp group, of all the operation managers, and you can get feedbacks from, all the clients, from different clients that, hey, I just did it. I feel amazing. Thank you so much. Everything went well. and then they send us their pictures 2 or 3 or 5 months after when they have a full hair, and I
Wow.
had a guy actually, used to do sales, and a lot of those people, that doing something like that, especially hair transplant, they're doing it because it affect their self-confidence, and especially in sales, you need that confidence, right? And this guy called me, I would say a month ago. It was really in the beginning. It's actually a client that I used to take care of in the beginning. And we stay in touch, and then I got busy, so I didn't have time to stay in touch with him. And then he called me a month ago and he told me, you have no idea. He sent me a picture of him, with a full hair, and he told me, I feel so confident when I'm going to, like, sales meeting. I have more confidence, and actually my sales improve. And I was so happy for him, because I helped him, not only with his look and with his confidence, with his business and everything else. So I think, you know you make a change and you make people happy. I would say, that's half the task right there.
There's no better feeling in the world,
Right.
for sure, for sure. Yeah. Walk us through about, this journey of a customer or a client in terms of how do they avail of these services and what do they go through, if you don't mind, give us a little bit of a detail. If I'm a potential customer for Allure, what's that experience looking like?
So the first thing, you we need to evaluate you, right? We're going to talk to you, explaining about the procedure, okay? Give me all the options, okay, that are available. But in order to approve you, we're gonna ask you a set of questions, and then you'll send us pictures of your head. We'll send it to the clinic. Make sure the doctors take a look and see if we're talking about only about hair because we have cosmetics, we have dental, but the
Hmm.
process is pretty straightforward. After you got approved, then usually our approval rate are 50 to 60%. When you compare it, for example, to other clinics that are 85 to 92%, it means we don't approve, all of them.
Why's
If
that?
we, it means that if we're not sure 100% that we can do that job for you, okay, we're not going to take your reputation, okay, worth more than everything. So, we rather stay good friends. If I'm not sure I can get for you, an amazing results. And sometimes you can. Maybe your donor area is not that good. I cannot get, So I'm setting expectation with you. I explain you what's, that maybe you're not gonna get full hair. Maybe you're not, if you're 60 right now, maybe you're gonna be 50, but you're not gonna be 25, right? You're not gonna look like 25. So we set expectation before. After you approve, we let you choose the clinic, that you want. All the clinic that we work with are all doctors, surgeon, member of the Hair American Restoration Association. So we really bring to the consumer the highest quality possible. And there's no, and that's why we got voted one of the most trusted clinic in the world for 2021, because we want to make sure that we doing 100% job for you. Okay, we want to make sure that you're happy, not only from the procedure, but from the whole experience. From how we, how we pick you up from the airport with a luxury vehicle, how we take you to the best hotel that usually in the center of town. The communication is very important, and our award-winning post-care support. So, this is something that I really talk about a lot about that because I think it's very important. We talk to our client. We call them every month, to see how they're doing. And that connection bring us so much referral. And right now, we on 50% of our business is actual referrals. So, we built ourselves so nice that right now we're just getting referrals and referrals. And, we take that saving of marketing and and actually have promotion, and just take that saving and add it to the clients.
That's very powerful. Tell us what makes Allure special compared to the competitors out there.
So I think the one thing is we're not one clinic, so we not buy out to only one clinic. Okay, we represent a set of clinics, and so you can choose from. For example, there's some clinics that are specialized in Afro American hair. Some of them specialize in beauty transplant. Some of them specialize in mega transplant. Some of them are specialized in small transplant. You know, some of them are more, I would say, boutique. Some of them are like a hospital. So, we give, and the other thing is we have, multiple locations. So some people would love to go to Turkey. Some people say, you know what, especially for Americans, right? They said, I don't want to travel that long. Mexico is right here around the corner. Let me
Just
let me
right
go to
there. Yeah,
Mexico,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, we give them all the option to choose from. Um, but we only work with certified doctors, and I think that's what makes us that good, because in this industry 80% of the clinics do not work with doctors. It sounds crazy, but that's the story.
Really, really.
80% of the clinic do not work with certified doctors. A technician that had maybe a 2 or 3 weeks course will do your procedure. And sometimes you get complications from procedures like that. And also, sometimes, the, the look that you're looking for, you're not going to have it. And then, we're getting so many calls every week from those clients that went to those, I don't know, $1,500 clinic, that it sounds too good to be true. And usually I said, if it sounds too good to be true, it's too good to be true. Um, and they mess up their look and their hair, and now they call us, and ask us if we can help them fix the mess. And sometimes we can, and sometimes it's irreversible. So, I think,
Yeah.
this is something, it's big. Listen, in terms of hair transplant, for example, there's a million people, that going through this thing every year, right? Think about that. 80% of them will do it with somebody that's not a doctor. Is that crazy or what?
That is crazy. Why
Crazy.
would you go on an operations that involves your health, your future, and you're not being serviced by a doctor?
Exactly. So I tell
Wow.
people, you know,
Wow.
we representing saving here and quality, but there's something that you don't want to save is, you can save, if you want, we can give you some promotion. We can save, you can save on the hotel, and maybe you can save on the transportation, or maybe you want to use economy, fly economy, not business, right? But
Right.
there's one thing that you don't save, right? Is the medical procedure.
Of
That's
course,
something that you never save.
you don't want to compromise on it at
No,
all.
not.
And just to kind of illustrate your confidence about the service and the product that you're putting out there in the market, you did send me a video of yourself going through the operations.
Yes,
Talk
yes,
to me
yes,
about the experience. This is awesome. I mean,
yes.
the owner of the organization and the company went through the experience from end to end.
So I decided to do it, even though I thought I'm going to wait a little bit, but I figured that, in terms of hair transplant, your situation is not getting better. It's getting worse from day to day.
Hmm.
So, if you ask a doctor when is the right time to do the procedure, he will tell you yesterday. So, I decided to do it. I flew to Turkey, you know, um, I did the whole thing. Um, I like the experience. I didn't feel any pain or anything like that. It took me 3 days, from the day I came, that I landed to actually the day I got out of, the procedure. I came the day before. The day after was the procedure day. It took me around 5 to 7 hours to do the procedure. Um, the day after was the wash, and that's it. I was free. And I recommend everybody to have hair loss, and thinking about it, don't wait. Because sometimes when you wait, even 6 months or a year, you know, sometime when you come and you said, I want to do it, you know, and sometimes people thinking about, I will do it or not going to do it, and they take their time. And sometimes it's going to be too late. So if you're thinking about doing something like that, or you have questions, give us a call. We'll help you. We'll tell you if it makes sense or not.
There's a misconception about hair transplant, and before I knew about it, when it's being talked to about, people are talking about hair transplant, my initial impression was that, okay, there's going to be new hair that will be transplanted in your scalp and those stuff, but it's not going to be natural. It's not going to be growing. It's not going to be permanent. At some point, it's going to be gone. It's like a temporary solution.
So it's really not. It's basically, okay, so hair transplant is basically taking hair from your own head, the dome area. It's basically the space between your ears, okay, and taking it out in a way that if somebody's going to look at you after, he's not going to see, that you actually had any procedure whatsoever. Then, the doctor will open channels and transplant the actual hair, and the hair will grow in a natural way. That it's like I tell people, you want to make sure when you're choosing a clinic, okay, that when they do a procedure on you, when you walk down the street, nobody will notice that you ever had a hair transplant. And that's the most important thing, to look natural.
So you mean it will basically grow back like a natural hair growth
It will
after the
grow back. Yeah, listen, it all depends
amazing.
also. It also depends also on the doctor and how we open the channels, right? The way you open the channels, as you know, hair doesn't grow exactly straight. It grows all over, right? Left, right, and if you don't know how to open a channel in a way the area is gonna be dense and it's gonna look natural, it can be a nightmare. And that's the difference, I would
Aha.
say, between a good
Mm-hmm.
clinic and an amazing clinic, right?
Aha. Got you. Got you. That makes sense. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're planning to have a hair transplant, this is it. All right. Go to
Yes.
Allure. Right. Jake, tell us where do you see this business and this industry going? What's the vision in here? What's that prediction, that 5 year, that 10 year potential of this industry?
I think it's just going to grow up. It's just going to grow up. It's growing up it grew up for the last 5 years, 15, 20%. And it looks like it's going to grow up because, you know, um, we're in a global era, right? People wants to have a good deal, and, the world become very small. You can jump on an airplane. Um, price of, I would say, of flights are not that expensive as it used to be like 10 or 20 years ago. And people are not afraid anymore to get out of their own comfort zone, their own country, just to find a solution to their problem. So I think this industry is going to keep booming, and that's why I also choose that industry, because I think with all the clinics that we have, and we're expanding, and we bringing more clinics to our network. We're thinking about opening one in Thailand right now, for the Australian market, the New Zealand market. Um, and, I think that this is something that's, is going to boom. And I will, I want to be part of it.
That's awesome. Given the fact that you're building your new venture, and
Yeah.
bringing that opportunity, or not opportunity, but really bringing that happiness to the market, to the people who badly needs it, right? I'm thinking behind the scenes, you're also outsourcing to really support this venture, and I'm thinking that the power behind your current venture is in the outsourcing. Did I get it right?
Yes, of course. If you compare me to, I would say other brands and everything, they have, you know, uh, a lot of the cost, right? Is in the people, right? Every company, their biggest cost is payroll.
Hmm.
And, especially in big companies, if you know how to solve that problem, you have more breathing room, right? And you can take that money and invest it on leads, or, on PR, or on other things, even on your employees. So yes,
Right.
we outsource some of it as well. I would say most of it. And, it's working really good.
So you're walking the talk. Is this also one of the reasons why you can give the best quality service out there at the best possible price? Is that the secret ingredients?
Yes, yes, that's some of it. I believe that, I would like to bring quality to everybody, not only to the rich, right? So, if I can save on labor, on other things like that, and like I said, transfer that saving to the client, I think it's a win-win situation, right? Everybody's happy. And
Amazing.
that's for me, my father always told me that the best deal is when the boss is happy, when the client's happy, and when the employee is happy. So in this case, we make everybody happy.
That's fantastic. Awesome. And if I'm a customer who has gone through the procedure, what's next? Am I gonna get a post care support? Do I get
Yes,
some
so as
follow ups from you?
correct, so as I said, the whole package includes a post-care support. We basically, for the first month, we'll be in touch with you every week. We'll give you a call, see how you're doing. Maybe you have some questions to the doctor, right? We'll talk to the doctor. We'll get back to me. You'll get back to you. We're really going to be in touch with you. And after a month, it's basically that's the time that you really, everything is secure, and it takes time for the hair, to start growing. We'll be in touch with you every month just to see how you're doing. You're gonna send us pictures. We're gonna send it to the clinic. Make sure the doctor, look in that. Make sure, the healing process going okay. And I think that connection with the client, that's you also what's setting us up from, other clinics as well. Does that make
At no
sense?
additional cost.
No additional cost, all included. All included, my friend.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. If this is not an amazing deal, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, and we do it in their own time. We're an American company. We work with American standard. It's, as you know, it's the highest standard, in the world, and we work in American hours. So if somebody, sometimes people said, you know what, I'm gonna go and call somebody in, in Turkey, or in Mexico, and I'll try to do it myself. And they're getting a bunch of quotes, a bunch of ideas that some of them, they have no idea if it's true or not. But if they want to have questions after the procedure, they cannot find anybody. Or they have to talk to somebody that's going to translate. Here it's all in English, or in your language, in your time. And I think that's super important.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I hope that Allure becomes a big empire. Bring
Thank
happiness
you.
to the,
Thank
the
you.
the people.
Thank you.
That's gonna be a game changer. Yeah. Thank you. Let's talk about personal growth and work life balance here.
Okay.
Obviously, you have multiple businesses, right? You're almost 24/7, right? And I think you can share some wisdom in terms of how do you drive a little bit of a work-life balance, if there's anything that you call work-life balance, how does that work for you? How do you a lot of let me put it this way, a lot of entrepreneurs normally struggle about this though, and this normally would result to burnt out, to them not really seeing it through. You've been in this industry, or as an entrepreneur, you've been there for a couple of decades. How did you
Right.
do it?
So listen, in business, you need to be like a ninja, right? You need to keep up with the latest gossip. You need to have smart friends and smart places that they can share their ideas. You need to know what the next idea is and a text idea. You need to know what your competitors does, right? So, it's not only about, I'm not talking about to copy them, but just to know what they're all about, and never stop learning. Um, and I think I mentioned before, you know, I used to be like 24/7, and my wife used to complain all the time about that. But I think when I start outsourcing, and I think that was also some of it, I started because I had a friend that did it, and he said, "Listen, you have to try it." And I tried one, and then from one, I built them to like 200. So, um, I think the outsourcing gave me also, the freedom, to do the things that I would like to do. It's not that, I'm not busy. I'm busy all the time. But right now I can set up, time for myself and for my family. And, I think that now I have more time, you know, uh, not to work in the business and basically to work on the business. And
On
that's
the business,
two different things. Yeah.
that is powerful. And obviously, along the way, for the past couple of decades, you built personal habits or routines, perhaps, that really brings you to success. Can you give us a little bit of a tip here, or what that does that look like?
Yes. So listen, I think the biggest routine of mine is taking care of yourself first. Um, I'm exercising almost every day for 2 hours. I need to make sure that I feel good. Okay. If I'm not feeling good, I cannot do what I'm doing, right? Especially not for those long hours. So make sure that you take care of yourself, good, exercise, eat well, etc. And the second thing is, especially, for me, I'm a morning guy. So, when I wake up in the morning, it doesn't matter if it's Saturday or Sunday, I wake up early, and the first hour I don't talk to anybody. Sometimes I do meditation. I sip my coffee. I need my coffee for first thing in the morning. Sometimes I read a book or read my email. But that first hour of the day, to focus, to get your thought in order,
Hmm.
um, that that will make your day the difference between a chaos, or a very productive day.
And I think I would agree with you. Most of the entrepreneurs, really, the really good ones, they are always use that first couple of hours of the morning to really prep themselves for the entire day, for a very, very successful, powerful day. So I hear you on this one. Have you ever had an experience of, self-doubt along the way? You have some challenges for sure. Did you ever doubt yourself? Did you ever think to yourself, say, why am I doing this? Why the hell am I getting on this one?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. I had it. Yes, I had it many times. But you know what? If you're a business owner, you need to make sure that you keep yourself positive and make sure you talk to yourself,
Hmm.
because if you don't know how to talk to yourself, in a positive way, um, you're not going to make it. And you need to love what you're doing. So I think that's the most important thing. If you don't love what you're doing, there are good days and there are bad days. The problem with the bad days, that if you don't like what you're doing and a bad day coming, you're gonna want to hang up the towel and say I quit. Okay. But if you like what you're doing, you're gonna keep doing it. and then you're gonna succeed. So it sounds like a cliche, but it's not. It's actually that secret sauce, really.
Keeps you going no matter what.
Yeah, keep
Awesome,
going, keep
awesome.
going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Even though sometimes it's look like you're not going anywhere, or you're going backwards, and you're gonna go backwards. You're gonna go backwards.
Yeah,
For sure. Before
yeah,
you're going forward, right?
of course. Take one step backward, five steps
Yeah,
forward.
yeah,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah. What does the future look like for Jake Weinberg? What is that legacy looking like that you're trying to build and say a couple of decades from now when I say I'm done, this is what I've done, this is what I've accomplished, this is my legacy.
So that's a good question. I love building businesses. Sometimes I sell them, sometimes I keep them, but I love building businesses. Um, but I think what I would like to have as a legacy is to maybe show people that anybody can build a business, if you have, actually the right foundation, and inspiring other people, opening businesses. So if I have the legacy of that's the guy that opened businesses and taught somebody else how to do it as well, I think I'll be happy.
That's very powerful. I'm really hoping that there's going to be a lot more entrepreneurs and inspire the younger generation to really build from
Yeah,
from the ground up. It's going to be powerful.
correct.
Um, a few questions here, and
Yeah.
you could answer them to very very straightforward.
Okay.
We're down to the last few questions here. We're gonna have a little bit of a fun. So we call this rapid fire, right?
Okay.
What's that one book every entrepreneur you think every entrepreneur should read?
Wow, just tons of books. Principles by Ray Dalio. So I think I read many books. That's a pretty awesome book. It's packed with like wisdom and how to make the decisions and building the business, and sticking to your principles. So this one is a must, for you know in a personal level, also in a professional level. It's I really highly recommend it.
Thank you. A mistake you won't make twice.
Um, Giving people too many chances. You know, I learned to hire fast and fire fast.
It could burn you. Yeah, I
It
hear
can
you.
bring you for sure, for sure,
For
for sure.
sure. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received from anyone?
Okay. Keep an open mind and listening. You know, um, I've picked up tons of valuable stuff from my employees, from my team, and being a leader, sometimes you have, you soaking us all kind of advices, and in the end, you have to make the big decision, right? Um, and sometimes the newbie in the room will give you the best ideas, right?
Mhm.
So stay curious and hear everyone first.
Got you. What's that one country that you've never been to that you always wanted to visit?
In Japan, I think I found their culture fascinating. So uh, I would love to visit
And
there once.
they're futuristic as well. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And one last question, Jake.
Yeah,
What's what's one word if you're to describe your whole entrepreneurial journey so far? How would you say it in one word?
I'll describe it in two words. Okay,
Fire away.
unpredictable and challenging. Okay, those two words, and I think those two words, if you ask any business owner, will probably, come up with those two words. You know, always unpredictable and always challenging. But I
Amazing,
like it.
amazing.
I love it.
Awesome. Jake, I appreciate your time. Thank you really for sharing your
Thank you
wisdom
for
with us
having me.
today.
Thank you for
And
having
I'm
me.
hoping to talk to you again in the future.
Great. Thank you.
Have a-
Have a great
Thank you.
day.
Thank you.
All
Bye
right. Take
bye.
care. Bye.